Conditions and a low around 62. And tomorrow, more sunshine and calm winds, with an afternoon high expected around 87. I'm meteorologist Kyle Fleck for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and right now they are offering huge, and I mean huge discounts at Koppel. Get over $9,000 off list price or 1.9% financing on select Sierras or Silverados. Plus, Costco members receive another $1,000 off. Yes, that's happening right now in Louisville. $9,000 off list price or 1.9% financing. You pick what works for you. Costco members, please contact us at the store or at koppelcars.com. All deals with approved credit must trade and finance.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with only 4 Lincoln locations, now 5 Lincoln locations. That's 25% more locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11, located right alongside the 93.7 The Ticket Studios at 1040 O Street.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
At Doane University, we build leaders, and that means your success and achievements come first.
At Doane University, your future is uniquely yours, and our world-class liberal arts education is just the beginning.
We invite you to schedule your campus visit and experience why Doane University will start you on your journey to your future career.
Learn more by scheduling your personal campus visit today at doane.edu/visit. See you soon.
Old School with DP and J.
And Todd Bowles, I'm going to tell you this, DP, his voice does not match his body type.
That's what I'm saying. He's never, I don't know how you can be led by Todd Bowles' voice.
That's a fireable offense anyway.
Like his facial expression is top notch. Then his voice, because it's literally, you're there expecting, it's like Mike Tyson.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. It's time to go one-on-one with DP. Coming at you live from the Koppel Chevrolet GMC studios. Here is your host, Derek Pearson. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into Ticket Weeknights. My name is Harrison Arndt on the ones and twos. This is one-on-one with DP. No DP today, but no worries. We still got Coach Barry Thompson in here and the former Husker Chancellor Brewington as well. But before we bring him in, let's go ahead and give him the intro as always.
The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song, he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash with a silver hat about his head and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold. And the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
And there it is, as always, the intro for Coach Barry Thompson of Fairfax Academy. Coach Thompson, how's it going on this Monday night, man?
We're doing great. Got the big H. And is that CB over there, Chancellor Brewington? Rocking the headphones? Yes, let's get it going. We're about 30 days before we get it rolling. Let's go. Let's go, CB.
Yeah, so like I said, if you get hit me before, we do got the former Husker perfect in here. I get somebody for the X's and O's to kind of help me break this stuff down, as we got the coach in here as well. But the first thing that I want to talk about, as I was talking to Thompson over the emails earlier, as we're going to dive a little bit into this Husker football conversation. And the first things first, Nebraska football, they got a new coach. In John Butler. Pete Thamel tweeted that one out. And Brewington, I'll ask you first, then we'll get Thompson's opinion. But you coming from the Huskers not too long ago, what's going to be the real challenges of joining the team this late as they're getting ready for these camps?
Right. I would say the number one thing would just be getting on the same page terminology wise, understanding kind of you have to know what Evan Cooper, what he used terminology wise, get on a good page with the players, and understand obviously the concept of the defense, leverages, technique wise. I think that would be a big one. Going into the summer, obviously you only got a month before camp. So I think just getting on the same page as the players as fast as possible will be key. And like I said, especially the defensive back and especially cornerback position, they do a lot of things with the 3-3-5, right? You got a lot of guys coming in and out, right? So getting on the same page and knowing and just being able to trust the coach and the coach trust the players as fast as possible.
Yeah. Thompson, what about you?
No, I agree with him. And I think from a coordinator standpoint, he was talking about terminology, understanding what the players use. But from a coordinator standpoint, right, you that's got to be fluid in your head as you get in the game. So he's got a lot, not only to learn it, but to get the terminology fluid in his head. The other thing, too, is that they're playing a little different three-man front, right? 3-5-3?
Yep.
So that's not a common thing. So some adjustments there about how coverages go with fronts. He may have some opinions on that, and that will be a change for the players. But a lot of experience, right? He's coordinated in the Big Ten, a lot of pro experience. So he's used to, at the pro level, dealing with change. So hopefully it works out. They got him quick, didn't they?
Yeah. It was
quick.
I
mean, they got him quick. Yeah.
I think it might have been, less than 24 hours after Cooper, they already found their guy. It was almost immediately after. And, I got to ask this too, because it's been over, it's 2014, maybe that 2013 season was when he left Penn State, then the Texans, then with the Bills.
Yeah.
Now he's jumping back down to college. Now today with NIL and everything that's going on, I mean, what's the harder jump, going from college to the NFL? Or do you think Butler coming from the NFL level back down to college, is that with the NIL, is that the harder jump these days? What are some of the challenges in there?
I'm going to let Chancellor deal with that one because he's fresh to the ground, but because he's more right in with the NIL and he knows how players and parents are thinking. But I'll say this. I think him leaving the Bills and coming through, he's got extensive college experience. And the thing that I really want to make a point about is it really points to some program strength. Because if your program is going to be successful, right, coaches are going to be peeled away. And so for whoever was running this and lining this, to be able to fill that position that quickly, that's a program structure point. Somebody's got multiple people on speed dial, right, to hit the same person. It wasn't an interview process. We hope to get somebody pushed the button and said, yes, we're coming in. So from a program perspective, I think that shows some kind of hidden strength that people won't necessarily think about. But I'll let CB handle about the NIL, all the money they're asking for and the mamas and the daddies and what is my baby going to get, that type of thing. So what do you think, Chancellor?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a curveball because it's just from 2013. That's crazy different. And I just think about when I started playing college football in 2017, 2018, it changed so much from then to 2022. So it's going to be a whole 180 flip, especially going out and recruiting, during the bye week and postseason. It's going to be a difference. But one thing about Coach Rule that I've noticed through players and just actually being in the facilities is that he does the culture of college football, like the dynamic of working hard, of showing up on time, of camaraderie and being able to, count on your brother to your left and your right. He still has that vibe and that feeling in the building. So I don't think there's going to be so much change in the football aspects to it, like the locker room and stuff, but definitely recruiting wise and how we talk about money. It's going to be way different.
Yeah. One of the things I will give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt for is I'm sure some of the guys in the NFL, I mean, he's starting to see some of those guys in the NFL himself.
Right,
some of those young players
right.
coming up. So it's not like he's completely unaware of, how those guys, he knows a little bit of their background and what it's somewhat like. But it is going to be interesting.
Yeah, not to cut you off, Harrison, but the difference is he has a GM that handles the money. And so he's at the point where when he's sitting in the living room, unfortunately or fortunately, the money's going to come up. And he's got to begin to deal with how that's going. Now, hopefully he has some marching orders and they have a clear, consistent plan about how they want to recruit and what they want to say. That'll make it easier. But to Chancellor's point, now he's a little bit of the GM assistant when, you're sitting in a room, you want a guy, and all of a sudden they say, well, that all sounds good, but let's and they lean forward and they go, hey, but, what's on the table here? And he's not in a position of authority, right? But he's still got to convince the kid if he wants them, that we're going to come here, we'll take care of that later, or we don't take care of this or that type of thing. So he's on the front lines when it comes to money.
Yeah, at least, one thing going for him as well. I know the 1890, that's officially partnered with in terms of NIL, so maybe they can give him some sheets that he can at least refer to.
Right.
Yeah, going forward here, we talked about just the defensive backs, what they're going to go through. They're going to have to be on a little bit of a expedited course just to kind of catch up with the absence of Cooper now. What about the rest of the team, though? Just what at this point in the season are the things that need to be understood and what things are just constantly being worked on and are real focuses until we get to the point where you're just purely focusing on UTEP week 1?
Well, I'll take that, and I'll tell you from a coach's standpoint what I think they should be on, and Chancellor's going to give you the real deal. I think at this point, all the physical, your summer training is being taken care of. It is really the extra work off the field, right? Are you getting into the details of your position in your game? Are you getting with the GAs? Are you getting the extra film in? Are you asking questions when you don't know something? Are you going to somebody? And then not only that, but are you working through the scenarios? It's one thing to know your assignment, but for every assignment that you have, there's situations going to come up. And you have to begin to think, okay, from my assignment standpoint, when this goes left, when it's supposed to go right, what's my reaction? Especially on defense, because although you only have 1/11th of the job, you got to really have trust that the other 11th that's next to you, you got to trust that it's going to be done, right? And so sometimes that will hesitate people. Hey, I saw him go right, but I felt this gap to my left, so I wanted to cover it, and you missed your assignment to the right. It's a discipline of executing your assignment, knowing your assignment, and knowing the variables that are going to come with any call down and distance that you're going to face. That takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everything. And also you can speak to this too as well. Throwing in the off season. The real bulk of throwing should have really happened in June. I would say just because the whole catapult system of tracking how much you're running, your usage rates, all these different things. Most of your throwing should be done in June, and it should begin precise in July. Okay, we kind of know of the new coordinator from the Steelers, quarterback coach.
Oh, Glenn Thomas.
Right, so that he might have some wrinkles in. He might have some new things. So perfecting those things, and I'm sure the walkthroughs in July will start getting a little bit more intense, a little bit more detailed, a little bit more sped up. The expectation is gonna be a little bit higher, and then also things change in July. I heard Jay Foreman talking about it. Things change in July. There's just a different feeling that happens, and also the first couple weeks you kind of. As for me as a player, I'm already watching film. I'm already watching film on the first game. You want to throw all your you want to put your best foot forward, and I would definitely be watching film in the weeks to come before fall camp, and making sure I know each install before we get into install in fall camp. So install 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then obviously you got your specifics for UTEP. But I'm getting into the installs, getting into the first opponent, just getting the mind ready for game week situations. Game week situations.
And when does it start really feel like it's clicking? Like the team's finally getting to that cohesive unit? Is it just you really don't know until you kick off that first game? Or when do you kind of get the feel that things are heading where you want it to be? If you're Matt Rule, you're the head coach, what's a realistic outlook you can have for your team to decide you're heading in that right direction? And Thompson, I'll ask you first, being the coach.
Yeah. I was just with a couple guys, and to pick up on Chance was saying, things do change in July. I just had the University of Virginia, University of Delaware. Who else did I have on the field? We're supposed to have University of Maryland. But those guys came out, and it was their day off, right? Some of them came home for 4th of July. And, it was technically a day off for them, right? Because the schedule's heavy, but they were hitting me up. Hey, can we get out in the field on the 5th? And the vibe from those guys, he's right. It's different. I see him in May, right? But this is a little bit different vibe. I think from a coaching standpoint, I talked to DP about this, and Chance, I'll ask you what you think. I think on every team, there are guys that tell themselves a certain story about the season, right? They tell themselves a certain story about their position, their lot, and everything else. The best thing that happens is when you have a group of guys that are telling themselves the same story about the season, like how it's going to go, right? That's something that's built up from January, from spring ball, from the guys hanging around together. This transition, the heavy throwing in June, the transition in July that Chancellor talked about. But what you want most is that you got a group of guys that are beginning to tell themselves the same exact story about the self. And the reason I say that is the story you tell yourself is the most powerful story in the world, right? As a coach, I could tell you a story. I could demonstrate something to you. Then you got your friends, but you still got that story that you're telling yourself every day about what's going on. And the goal of all this stuff is to get a group of guys to tell themselves, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to happen. So however that comes out, when you get a feeling that you got a group of guys pulling the rope all in the same direction at the same time, woo! Let's go, CB.
No, that's real talk. And especially and to even branch out of that or onto that as well, there's always like this interesting thing that happens in June and July, and I'm sure you can attest to it, and it happens on every team. There's always like these 1 or 2 leaders that start emerging, and like their voice increases, their leadership increases, their trust by their teammates increase. And it's just interesting to see how it translates going into fall camp and then throughout the season.
Yeah, and to pick up on that point, the leadership point, what happens when you submit a lot of people to that level of work and intensity in daily environment? There are going to be a group of guys that I always use the analogy of this. Every day that you go to work in that environment, it's like a thin layer and then another thin layer. And these layers just keep stacking up to it's like this big, thick, impenetrable thing. And what happens in some guys as they start to do that work, they start saying to themselves, this is going to happen. I've just done too much work. I know I've outworked the other guys. I know there's other guys taking days off, and I'm not going to allow them to take this from me. And if I ever line up against a guy that I get suspected, he's not that dude, he's going to get the business. And those are the guys that you're talking about, Chancellor, that usually they just can't contain it. They got to vocalize it. And that's the authentic kind of leadership that you want out of a team. And so that's what emerges in this July period. And hopefully, he has some guys ready to go with him.
Yeah, Bruce, I'll ask you, who were those leaders? I have a guess. I'm going to guess Nelson might be one of them.
Yeah, but I'm more so talking about the guys that you didn't expect.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously you got the guys that, okay, he's probably going to be the captain. He's probably going to do this. He's played here for 4 years, started here.
Like what Gifford is to us this year.
Right. You already know. But then there's like a guy who from the outside, not being in the building, we wouldn't really know, that has such a strong voice, and it started during summer. That's kind of what I'm talking about. And you build the trust during the summer.
Yeah, and to pick up what Chancellor says, I call those guys on teams, they're the truth tellers. They're the guys that when they speak up, everybody reverberates and they kind of take back, because they when they speak, they really got something to say. And like Chancellor's kind of hinting at, sometimes they're not even your best player. They may not even be your physically gifted player. They may be a guy that is like maxing out in his body to get everything that he wants. But when he speaks on a team, the team really listens. Separate from the captain, separate from the guys that have their roles that you expect them to do whatever they're going to do. It's this guy or two within the team. Way back, when Seattle was starting out with Russell Wilson. They had a consultant. They were kind of bobbling around, and they couldn't figure out how to hire a consultant. They come in that kind of looks at organizations. And when that consultant walked away, he said, you don't need to listen to Russell. You need to listen to Marshawn Lynch. He said he is the voice on this team. And as soon as they started listening to that, then they have their little run. Nothing against Russell, but Marshawn Lynch was the guy that Chance was talking about.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. That got me fired up. I'm ready to go strap up.
Let's go. I'm telling you, CB, I'm telling you, man, stretch the hammies. It's ready to go.
Hey, I'm good.
Absolutely. As the guy said, football is certainly in the air. As I think Husker football, 52 days away right now is the official clock, but don't go anywhere. On the other side, we're going to talk some college football, some more. We're going to see what Pac-12 teams entering into the Big Ten. What kind of transfer of styles does that look like? Who might have the edge? So don't go anywhere. We got Coach Barry Thompson, Fairfax Academy, Chancellor Brewington, the former Husker, on my left. We'll keep it rolling here on Ticket Weeknights.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Problem gambling can destroy an individual's finances, relationships, physical, and mental health. If you or a loved one are struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
Have you been accused of a crime? Is your freedom at stake? At Liberty Law Group, we are committed to the defense of liberty for those accused. Facing the court is stressful, overwhelming, and full of uncertainty. At Liberty Law Group, we believe in treating every person with respect, compassion, and understanding. When legal troubles are keeping you up, trust Liberty Law Group to fight your battles. To learn more, call 877-42-LIBERTY. That's 877-42-LIBERTY.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started. You already know that Select Plumbing takes care of all your plumbing needs, including water heaters, faucet repairs, leaks, drips, sump pumps, and more. Now, they're able to help you with your heating and air conditioning as well. Select Plumbing has recently expanded into residential heating and air, and they're excited to bring this new service to their complete list of plumbing services. Call to book an appointment today at 402-560-6197 or go to selectplumbinginc.com. Serving Lincoln, Seward, Milford, and the surrounding areas.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com. Man, we sure have had quite a bit of severe weather this spring and summer.
Tell me about it. My roof is in shambles. The side of my house has hail damage, and I don't have time to deal with insurance companies right now.
Wait, Rico, you haven't talked to my guys at Coalition Restoration yet? They deal with commercial and residential roofing services, hail damage, and best of all, they'll work with the insurance companies to make your life easier.
Okay, what's the first step?
All you got to do is give them a call today for a free assessment at 402-416-8186. Coalition Restoration in Lincoln and online at coalitionrestoration.com.
Prodigy Baseball Academy, Lincoln's premier baseball program, is excited to partner with the #1 national youth and high school program to offer a larger player development program with a national network for tournaments and recruiting. Prodigy Baseball has been nominated several years by the Lincoln Choice Awards for outstanding dedication to youth baseball. Come see the USA Prime Prodigy difference. For a full listing of tryouts and to learn more about USA Prime Prodigy, check them out on Facebook at Lincoln Prodigy Baseball or at LincolnProdigyBaseball.com. USA Prime Prodigy is excited to announce the tryouts for the upcoming season. Prodigy Baseball is where players in Lincoln go to receive player development, a competitive tournament schedule, and incredible family atmosphere. USA Prime Prodigy will be hosting tryouts July 14th through the 16th at 6 p.m. at Optimus Sports Complex for ages 7 to 14. Jalen Wordley, Caleb Clark, and Mason McConaughey from Husker Baseball will be there to sign autographs and talk to the youth. Tryouts start on July 14th at 6 p.m. Learn more at LincolnProdigyBaseball.com.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Now, through July 14th, enjoy USDA Choice 6-ounce bacon wrap tenderloin for $8.99. Fairway's 16-ounce packs of hickory smoked bacon for $3.99 per pack, with a limit of 4, fresh salmon for $9.88 per pound, and 24 packs of Michelob Ultra for just $16.99. That's all at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
There's that pit in my stomach. I hope that knot gets untangled and untied so that the Royals can be in contention for the playoffs come late August into September. I'm not holding my breath for it, but before I freak out and lose my mind about how bad things are right now, I'm going to choose to look back at last year and remember how bad 56 and 106 felt.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, Husker Nation, Matt Davison here with 1890. It's an exciting time to be a Husker fan, and to keep that momentum going, we need your help. Nebraska's always been a leader in college athletics, and we're doing the same through name, image, and likeness. NIL is a unique opportunity for every Husker fan to have a direct impact on the success of our programs. Through 1890, 100% of your contribution goes to the student athletes. So go to 1890nebraska.com, choose your sport, become a member, and help the Huskers recruit and retain the best. Go Big Red.
You're listening to One-on-One with DP, brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in to One-on-One with not DP, Harrison Orange, Chancellor Brewington in here, filling in for DP, but we still got the Monday guest, as always, Coach Barry Thompson, Fairfax Football Academy. On the other side, we teased it a little bit on what we're going to be talking about, and if you guys want to join in, 402-464-5685, Starter Heyman text line, as always. But I want to talk about these Pac-12 teams entering into the Big Ten, but I think before we get there, Coach Thompson, when we're talking about styles in college football, how true really is that in today's modern times? Can you look at a Pac-12 offense or just team in general and say they're just air raid, they lack physicality when you're looking at the Big Ten? Or what do you see when people talk about styles? How much of that is true and how much of that is just a speaking point?
You can play any style you want as long as you have a bunch of dogs on the field, right? So I think the big thing is they're going to have to catch up in recruiting. Right. And they're going to have to get adjusted to not having, not being 1 or 2 games during the season where everything matters. You're stepping into some teams, and a lot of games in the Big Ten are close. Right. You can go back. Nebraska didn't have very successful years, but you go back and you go 3 points here, 7 points here, whatever it is. So they're competitive. And then you have the guys that sit at the top of the mountain. So you're going to have to readjust or realign, refine what you're recruiting, why you're recruiting it, and how you use all that to go beat an opponent. And so I think there's going to be a little bit of adjustment. But to their credit, Washington didn't have any problem with Big Ten teams because they had some dudes that could go get it. And West Coast teams have shown a history of doing that. When Chip Kelly was with Oregon, right, he assembled a group of guys to run what he wanted to run in national prominence. Go back a little bit further, USC has never had a problem throughout its history recruiting stellar studs on both sides of the ball, whether it be Ronnie Lott or Junior Seau, linemen like Munoz, or running backs. Not so much with quarterbacks at SC. So those schools have the tradition and the ability to do this, but I think it's going to take them a little while to learn how to get it done.
Just how true is that when you're playing non-conference games? Is it, is any sort of different of styles, or is it just what's the talent level out there?
I would say there is a difference, physicality wise. You can definitely feel when you play Iowa the next day. Like you can definitely feel when you
more than just like the cold weather.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I would just say the style of play, just from a pure player, it hits different, literally. It hits different, literally. But no, like he said, if you get some dogs who are invested into a system and you got the right personnel for it, you can make any system thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think a big part of it too is maybe not so much just like that they do so much better, but like just the way these teams like to function. Like say if you're Nebraska and down the stretch, you get Minnesota, then you get a Penn State, then you get a Michigan, then you get an Iowa. Those are 4 teams that like to beat the ball and run down your throat over and over. Game 4 of that 4-game stretch, you might be feeling it, as opposed to if you're one of those Pac-12 teams, you might not run into as many teams that like to consistently run the ball.
Right.
But with that being said, when you're looking at these Pac-12 teams, which one do you think is going to enter into this Big Ten with the best chance of just kind of picking up where they left off in their prior conference?
Washington, if they have somebody sitting behind Penix and they replace those 4 long dudes and go up and get the ball, that's it. But I want to go back to what Chancellor was saying. You know, when you put together a team, a good team has to fit, right? So you could practice an air raid style and things like that, and that's really good for your offense. But what happens is your defense doesn't get a lot of reps at power or counter, right? Of 13 personnel. And the biggest thing I can do for this is a long time for some of the older people. There was a boxer, a very famous boxer named Sugar Ray Leonard, and he had retired a couple times, and he was coming back for this fight. I think it was against Donnie Lamont. Doesn't matter. And so they were asking him, you know, hey, what's it like coming out of retirement and da-da-da? And he says, that's not the problem. He said, the biggest problem was my face wasn't in shape. And never think about that about a boxer. That, you know, you watch him go for 12 rounds, people punch him. You know, if we punch each other 3 times, somebody's going to feel some kind of way about it. But professionally, they stand in there. And he said, my face wasn't in shape. And so when you think about you're going up against a physical offense and you haven't been practicing against a physical offense, that Iowa game at CB it's going to hit different. It's going to feel different, right? And then it has the ability to take the sting out of some guys, because boxers will also tell you that people don't like violence. You know, you hit a guy really hard once, you hit him really hard twice, you hit him really hard the 3rd time, he's going to start thinking like, do I want to do this all day? And so if your team has kind of built up those reps and that's kind of how they function, and you're coming in, that's not how you function, that's an adjustment. That's an adjustment. That's why I said you can run any style you want as long as you got some dogs with you.
That's such a great point with the identity of your own team on the other side of the ball, meaning like, you know, if you're air raid team, you're not running a lot of inside zone, you're not running a lot of power, you're not running a lot of ISO stuff you're going to see in the Big Ten, and your defense isn't getting those reps. That's such a great point. That's such a great point. And it goes vice versa as well.
Oh yeah.
So if your team is, you know, downhill, inside zone, run between the tackles, mixing some wide zone, and then all of a sudden you playing an air raid team, the adjustment, they're your scout team, you're running your scout team to model this air raid offense you're going to see in the weeks to come.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah. Do you think? I think whether, I don't know, rightfully so or not rightfully so, gets played up a lot. When you're talking about these teams that are coming from the coast, I've been into a lot of those teams. It gets windy, it gets cold. I mean, how real is it to adjusting to different weather? I feel like you see that with young QBs entering into the NFL. If they're coming from somewhere warm, going to somewhere cold.
I think it matters where your players are coming from. So if I'm at SC or UCLA and my quarterback's from Pennsylvania, I'm not gonna have trouble with the weather. You know what I mean? But if he's from Southern California, that's all he played, then maybe that's a factor. So I think it does matter where your players are coming from, right? And most of that has to do with, you know, some mental aspect of the game. One of the jokes I always joke around players is especially this time of year where it gets hot and we're out doing stuff, and I'll say, you know what kind of weather this is? And they'll look at me. I said, it's football weather. And then it's raining sometimes we go out and work out. They're sopping wet. I go, you know what kind of weather it is? They go, what? I go, it's football weather. That's the thing about our sport. No matter what the weather is, if it's a blizzard, if you have to get that sweeper on the field in between timeouts, it's football weather, right? And most guys kind of grow up with that. So if you don't understand that, maybe it's a little psychological things, but I think more importantly, are the team made up of a bunch of East Coast guys, or is it made up of a bunch of Florida guys who never really seen snow and you're taking them out in the snow?
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. Which team do you think in the Pac-12 is going to struggle the most? I mean, obviously you can look at just records and what they have recruiting wise, but even stylistically, you can make an argument. But I think me and Brooks have talked about this in the past. UCLA, I'll be honest, if you make just a bowl game, looking at what their schedule looks like, I think you knocked it out of the park, just kind of where they're at as a program. But which team out of the Pac-12, do you expect to probably struggle the most entering into this?
I'm going to put wherever CB puts his money down, I'm putting my money down behind him. What do you got, Chancellor? Who's going to struggle?
I said UCLA just because, obviously, like you said, the recruiting pool, and it's going to be really hard for them guys to have all them West Coast Cali guys and maybe a couple East Coast guys, but for them to go in late October and November and even late September, and go play out here and go play at the Big House, go play at Michigan, go play at Iowa, go play at Penn State, go play at these schools when they're used to, their cold games are, 55-degree night game,
And I feel like they're in a little bit of I want to say almost like an identity crisis, kind of what Nebraska's been going through for a little bit. And now they're transitioning at the same time where it feels like they still don't really have a footing on what they're trying to put as their key points as a football program culture. So that's one for me.
Yeah.
I'm just struggling to see.
I got a question for Coach. So when we get into these, if you're offensive coordinator, when we get into these kind of late or mid-October games where the wind is in play, or it's snowing, or it's sleet, whatever we got going on, how much does that affect your play call? Let's say that wasn't on the forecast for the day, and you got a play call sheet, and you kind of just got to do some things on the fly. How much does that affect your play calling?
Right. No, I think you just rely on your base, right? And Chance, every time you've been on the field, first thing is coaches want to stall their quick game. Yes?
Yep.
Yes?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Bores you to death. But that's where you're going to go. I think on that aspect of it, you're going to come back. I talked about this last week. I think with all the match coverages, all the quarters coverages, they went from Palms to two read, and it's kept evolving, that you're going to get into an area of football that Chancellor would have really loved, which is a lot of option routes. And the key thing in those big games, as you know, is can you move the chains? Can you consistently move the chains? And so, yes, do you have some answers for cover two if that's what you're doing all day, throwing it short? They're going to come up. Do you have some answers for that where you can get the ball out of his hands quickly? The ball's not in the air too long. Those types of things are critically important. The good news is that no matter how quarterbacks think about it, that is the game. It's always the game. It's from 12 yards less. It's 53 1/3. Those are the passes that are going to move the chain. So in a sense, Chancellor, to answer your question, if that part of the game is in shape and you have answers for it, it really shouldn't change that much in cold weather. And I think as coordinators have gotten better, offenses have gotten better, you actually see a lot of that in ridiculous weather. It's not just that it's Buffalo; it's that they're in Buffalo and they're relying on the short game. How can they get the ball there? Miss tackle, get the first downs. So I think offensively, more offenses are prepared for those situations than they ever have been in the past. But option routes.
Yeah, well, that's as you said, you did mention that last week as well. We'll see if that's where the evolution of the game's going. But don't go there. We'll throw it to break. One more segment on the other side, and we're going to talk about, how do we grade college coaches, particularly in college football, just because we've seen it. It's a bit of a hot seat. It heats up pretty quick on some coaches, rightfully so or not. We'll talk about all of that on the other side. One-on-one, we got Harrison, Chance of Brewington, and of course on Mondays, Coach Barry Thompson, Fairfax Academy. Don't go anywhere. We'll keep it rolling.
Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
day. I could sure use an afternoon pick-me-up. Hold up. The new 93.7 The Ticket location has a milk, coffee, and tea inside? Oh, yeah. This is a game changer. Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a coffee or smoothie on your way to work? Stop by the Ticket Mill location on 1040 O Street to get your go-to drink or try out our new game day drinks exclusive to the Ticket Mill location. We know it'll make your day a million times better. Load up on meat and more this summer at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's special through July 9th is spend $25, get 2 6-ounce sirloin fillets for free. Also, 15% off all beer, wine, and liquor. Locations at 84th and Havelock and 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town. You already know that Select Plumbing takes care of all your plumbing needs, including water heaters, faucet repairs, leaks, drips, sump pumps, and more. Now, they're able to help you with your heating and air conditioning as well. Select Plumbing has recently expanded into residential heating and air, and they're excited to bring this new service to their complete list of plumbing services. Call to book an appointment today at 402-560-6197 or go to selectplumbinginc.com, serving Lincoln, Seward, Milford, and the surrounding areas.
For only $2.99 a day, LES powers life's sweetest moments and keeps all your summer treats icy cold and ready. Learn more at les.com/value.
Prodigy Baseball Academy, Lincoln's premier baseball program, is excited to partner with the #1 national youth and high school program to offer a larger player development program with a national network for tournaments and recruiting. Prodigy Baseball has been nominated several years by the Lincoln Choice Awards for outstanding dedication to youth baseball. Come see the USA Prime Prodigy difference. For a full listing of tryouts and to learn more about USA Prime Prodigy, check them out on Facebook at Lincoln Prodigy Baseball or at lincolnprodigybaseball.com. USA Prime Prodigy is excited to announce the tryouts for the upcoming season. Prodigy Baseball is where players in Lincoln go to receive player development, a competitive tournament schedule, and incredible family atmosphere. USA Prime Prodigy will be hosting tryouts July 14th through the 16th at 6 p.m. at Optimus Sports Complex for ages 7 to 14. Jalen Wordley, Caleb Clark, and Mason McConaughey from Husker Baseball will be there to sign autographs and talk to the youth. Tryouts start on July 14th at 6 p.m. Learn more at lincolnprodigybaseball.com.
Problem gambling can destroy an individual's finances, relationships, physical, and mental health. If you are a loved one or struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
Do you need your event or venue secured? Call Tank Security Team. Tank Security Team is Lincoln's #1 non-lethal security company. Tank Security Team offers first-class security with efficient and quicker response times. Hire Tank Security Team. No hassle, no headaches. Call Tank at 402-310-3589 and get secured today.
Play ball! Looking for the ultimate change-up from the typical family nights? How about a Grand Slam good time with friends and coworkers? Then unleash the fun at Haymarket Park with an action-packed, thrilling season of Salt Dogs baseball. Choose from 50 home games now through August with daily and weekly specials your whole pack can enjoy, including group discounts. Don't miss out on the magic and the excitement. Strike 3, you're out! Visit saltdogs.com to reserve your tickets today. Unleash the fun.
You're spending $300 a month. Binge drinking is the most common form of excessive drinking, which costs the United States more than $191 billion each year. By drinking less, you will save $300 a month. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
I don't care what anybody says. I think losing Evan Cooper is a blow. It hurts. I'm not saying that
they got an upgrade. Yeah.
I didn't say we didn't recover from it.
With John Butler, since he's been with the Bills since 2018, secondary coach, passing game coordinator a few years in, he's had the #1 passing defense twice. And that's in the NFL. You know, that's as high as football gets. So again, his resume is just very impressive. Very impressive.
You're listening to One on One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment of One-on-One with Harrison Arns, Chancellor Brewington filling in the absence of Derek Pearson, VP. But we still got Coach Barry Thompson, Fairfax Football Academy, streaming in as always on Mondays. To wrap this one up, want to talk about coaches, in particular hot seats. We're going to start off with Matt Rule with Nebraska Cornhuskers, because we see this all the time with when you're not winning enough, even if it's 9 wins, even if it's 3 wins, they'll move on quickly. Haven't been to a bowl game since 2016. How do you fairly judge Coach Rule after this season? I don't know who wants to start on that one.
Coach, you got it. Got it, Coach.
I got it. Well, listen, just recently in the baseball world, right? The coach that where was he at? Texas A&M? He went to the College World Series final, right? And got up and said he swore he loved these super guys, and I don't know how many hours later, hook them, baby, let's go. So, I think you have to, this day and age, you have to go what Deion said. In the business that these guys are in, there's only 2 things that are going to happen. You're going to get elevated or terminated. So when you're at the top spot, we can talk about this money moving, but you also got to think from a personal standpoint. Hey, you're going to put in a ton of hours. You got a lot of responsibilities. You're going to do your best to put thing on good product on the field. You're going to recruit. Your staff's going to work like crazy. But at the end of the day, whether you win or whether you lose, there's somebody else who might say, you know what, we want to go a different direction. So you judge them however you want to. If I was a head coach, I'd be judging by my bank account. I mean, I love the kids. I love them. I'm being honest, right? But if I put forth my best effort, all my energy, and I get as much out of it as I can, and people are disappointed with it, I don't like, what else do you do? I don't know. What else do you do? You hope that if you get fired, you can get recycled and get another chance at it. But I don't know how you judge these coaches, and I don't know who's judging them. That's the big thing. I don't know who's judging them. This is what, Matt Rule's second year in the program, second?
Yeah, heading into
right. And you're talking about a hot seat. You feel me? And I'm not saying you're not legit. I mean, but that's the world that they exist in.
Yeah, and I think, if we're going to do the Big Ten hot seats, I do think Matt Rule is actually going to be on the cooler end. I imagine he's got one of the cooler seats, given that it is year 2. But one that's interesting, and I'll ask both of you guys this, is Ryan Day. Simply for the fact that he's got 1 loss every year for these past few, and it's only been to Michigan. Other than that, clean slate. But he's got Kelly over his shoulder now, too. Maybe he's looking behind him. I mean, would it be just a disastrous mistake for Ryan Day to get fired from Ohio State? Because it gets brought up every single year, and it blows my mind.
What do you think, CB?
You want this one again?
I mean, but just think about what we're talking about. Harrison, I gave you 12 tasks, and you nailed 11 of them. You nailed 11 of them. I mean, pristine, everybody's happy, parking, hot dogs, jersey sales, everything through the roof. But there's that one Saturday. I'm sorry, we gotta go a different direction. It is what it is. But that's what I'm saying. How are they being judged? That's a different standard, and maybe he submits himself to that standard. Certainly Harbaugh, as he was trying to do his thing, he was submitting himself to a standard. He says, "I want to win a national championship." I think Deion, in a different way, is submitting himself to that standard. Here's why I'm here. This is what we're going to do. Everybody else, are you willing to, it's a tough business, brother. I'm telling you. Harrison, you did 11 of them perfect, but you know what? Just that one. And I know it was only by 3 points, and I know the wind was blowing, and I know the ball was wet, but still, I mean, we got to go a different direction. Come on. Tough business, brother. Tough business.
Well, we see it all the time. With that being said, I got one more thing before we go ahead and get out of here. And you already brought up his name. One more coach I want to talk about, Jim Harbaugh, heading to the Chargers. Obviously, just won a national championship. What are you expecting out of the Chargers this year? You actually look at the roster, not bad. It seems like a roster he could actually come in there, plug right away, and they could be playoff bound. He's already talked about how much he loves his quarterback. Jim Harbaugh, are you expecting a playoff run year one with the Chargers?
Here's what I know about Harbaugh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's what I know about Harbaugh. He could lose 2 games and he'll still have his job next year.
Yeah.
If he went back to Michigan and he lost to Ohio State. Because he was this far from being out before, right?
Right,
Yeah,
right,
before he won
right.
national championship, he was this far. So there's some people who didn't agree with him. He won that. He could lose 2 or 3 games at Chargers. He'll be good. His family can buy a house. They can sit down. The kids can go to school. The wife can get into a shopping routine for at least 2 seasons. I know that. Real life. Chancer. Real life, right?
Yeah. No, that's real talk. Real talk.
Yeah. All right, I'll wrap this one up. Over under Jim Harbaugh, 2 seasons.
I'll go under.
Under. All right. I'll actually give him a benefit of the doubt. I'll go over for him, but don't worry. I won't give the coach the same question. Coach Barry Thompson, appreciate the time as always. Fairfax Football Academy. If they want to learn more, where can they find you?
Go to Instagram, fairfaxfootballacademy.com. On Twitter, it's at VAQB8. But Instagram, we're pretty active there. Just hit me up if you have some questions.
Absolutely. With that being said, we'll wrap it up here one-on-one with Harrison Arns, Jansen Brewington, and of course on a Monday, Coach Barry Thompson, Fairfax Football Academy. Be sure to give them a follow, and we'll talk to you guys in just a little bit. DeMarne Pierce now with the Don't Punt Hour up next.
All right, peace out.